Hello everybody, I'm Rebekah Kochan. This is my wonderful husband Dante, and welcome to the joys of Alzheimer's.
The joys, in quotes, is supposed to be sarcastic. So we have not put out a new show in over a month, and it's just been mostly because we're trying to hustle with our lives and our business during COVID because everything's crazy.
For everyone,
but it is definitely making her father, who we are caregivers for, it's making him advance in the disease more, I believe. When he was getting out and going to the center, he was doing great, and he had friends and he was calling people, and now he sleeps all the time.
A lot.
Let's talk about that, sleeping. So that's our first issue that we want to talk about today.
He's sleeping a lot lately, and it happens as the disease progresses, and so I'm assuming that that's what is happening right now.
It's also hot summer months. We're all sleeping in, and it's depressing not to have somewhere to go.
Right. I'm going to ask his doctor if maybe him sleeping so much is a sign of depression, and maybe he could be put on some sort of antidepressant, because I'm sure he is depressed.
Sure.
But so that's something that's been going on. We've realized also recently, if we don't eat with him at the same time, like if we don't eat our dinner with him at the same time, like if he eats first and then we eat like a half hour later, he'll forget, and he'll think that we're just like not feeding him. Right? He'll think we're abusing him and not feeding him.
He'll just stare at us and go, what
like
about
we're
me?
Total jerks. Like we just decided.
And so, like the other day, her brother gave us some time to go out and do some stuff, and so her brother made her father food. We called, he said, yep, he just ate. We came home, how was your soup? It was great. We sat down, we opened up our Mexican food, and that's when we got the look. And she says, well, Dad, you just ate? And he goes, no, I didn't.
Right. So we can't, so now we have to eat with him, or he thinks we're abusing him.
Or hide from him when we eat.
Right, or hide from him if we're not eating at the same times, which is fine. That's just a small thing. It's not like life or death, but just something that has definitely changed over the past couple months.
Besides that and the sleeping, I would say the other biggest thing is that he's starting to lose his words more. He's got at least 12 stories that he repeats and at least 10 insults that he repeats. And that's sort of it. Anything outside of those, it's hard for him to find words. He's told those stories his whole life, so he has those words. But then if he wants to say like a joke to her, like, I don't know, something about me, right? If he wants to say something, he just can't even get it out. He'll say like, Dante's got
he's struggling
things
to
happen.
Right.
And then we'll all giggle like he told a joke and, move on. Because that's all he'll say. Dante, things, right? Huh?
And it's not all the time, but it's sometimes.
It's rough.
But in a lot of ways, like my mom pointed out, we had because my mom is still very close to my dad, even though they're divorced. And she was saying that she was looking at pictures from a few years ago, and in a lot of ways, she said my dad looks healthier now than he did a few years ago, because he wasn't living with us at that time, but he also wasn't eating right. Like he wasn't taking good care of himself on his own.
The caregivers we gave him weren't there 24 hours a day, because he also didn't need it back then.
Right.
They came to make sure he ate every day, but that was sort of it, and be, clean the house and be comforting and talk and things. But
so in some ways, he looks better, and he's certainly healthier in some ways, but his mind is going. And yeah, like I said, he sleeps a lot. So I'm going to talk to his doctor about that. Again, I also know that it's part of the disease. That's how it progresses. They start sleeping a lot. So
hey, and guess what? We don't know anything. Even though I am
not a doctor.
Right, I'm not a doctor either. I went through this with my grandmother for over 10 years. And it was horrible. And your mom
was her caregiver,
My mother was her caregiver, right. Although she also had nurses, but she lived right next door to my mother, and my mother was there all day, you know what I mean? So, and I was part of it, but that was also 20 years ago, and things have changed so much.
They didn't know nearly as much then as they do now. Especially his mother as a caregiver, like they didn't know what to tell people to. They
still thought it was senility sometimes back then. Right? Even though some people called Alzheimer's, they'd be like, well, that guy just has been classified as senile. I don't even know if they say that anymore, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But, they've come a long way. My heart is with all the caregivers right now that have also not had a break in forever.
And it's hard to get away because of COVID. There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
And there's no money. I mean, unless you're a paid caregiver, but we're not. It's not like we get money for taking care of her dad, and We own an entertainment business, and we all know how we've all been out of work, especially the entertainment business. There's no business. So all we do is try to find ways to make money in that entertainment business and take care of her dad, who's getting progressively worse. And we don't have the breaks that we used to, like the gay and lesbian center that has a program for seniors, and that was a huge benefit. If you live in Los Angeles, when they reopen, the Gay and Lesbian Center on McCadden Place is one of the greatest centers in the world. If you're 50 and over, you can have a free lunch in Los Angeles.
A really good lunch.
Made by the Cordon Bleu students. And all of the food is donated by the center. And they have the best stuff. And at the end, they give everyone whatever's left over to take home and any other supplies. Meaning if they, made them like apples and everyone didn't eat the apples, then everyone gets to take that home. They don't recycle it for the next day.
Right. It's
incredible.
It's an amazing facility, and I'm heartbroken that my dad can't go there right now, but I hope that...
But they were always good with us. They knew that he had Alzheimer's and would call us, like when he would show up, and need something, or he needed us to come, and they were good about it. They would talk to us every time we walked in and update us on how he does over there. And he's still not at that stage where you have to worry about leaving him. He's not going to get lost. I know, but I'm saying your dad's smart. He's not going to leave the center to try to find his way home. He's not at that point yet. Correct. That's all I'm saying is yet. So he goes over there and he has a great time. And he has full conversations with everybody, and that's where he is. It's just getting harder on us because, in some ways it's easier. The fact that he's sleeping all the time is some ways easier, but some ways harder, because you never know when you can even walk out of the house. Because if I walk out of the house and you're gone, will he wake up confused and then walk out the front door looking for us?
We feel like we can't, whereas before we felt like if we left for a couple hours, it would be okay, but we feel like he can't be left alone at this point anymore.
Yeah, for dog walks and short things like that, definitely. But no, I wouldn't do it any longer.
So
anyway, you guys, I hope that this helps.
We wanted to fill you in on what we've been going through, and
you know what? When we fill you in on what we're going through, maybe it's the future for you, maybe it's the past for you, maybe it never happened to you on your journey. Everyone's journey is going to be different. We're just trying to tell you that, and I know this sounds silly, but we are all in this together. If you're a caregiver, we know what you're going through because there's two of us.
And we also know it's going to get a lot worse and harder. We're not naive to that.
Yes. But I can't even imagine how much harder it is on those of you that are single children and your brothers and sisters aren't helping, or you're the wife,
which you hear
and
all
you
the
don't
time.
have anyone helping.
Right.
Or you don't have brothers and sisters, so it's all your responsibility, Oh boy. Anyway, you're in our hearts, you're in our minds, you're in our thoughts, and we, put out some messages underneath and ask us questions, and we'll do shows on that for the next one. And she loves to research stuff. She's super smart, you guys, and we'll look it up, or we'll call the Alzheimer's Association if you have questions that we can't answer that's not necessarily on their websites or something that we've learned in classes. But anyway, we're all in it together, and it sucks for everybody, but find the joy in it, because guess what? When that person's gone, we're gonna miss them terribly. And I know that it's horrible right now. It's horrible. But someday, these will be the good old days, even though the bad old days. You know what I mean? Because you got to spend the last shining moments with your loved one. And those people who aren't available to them, those brothers or sisters or family members that aren't showing up for you, that's their loss. All right. Bye, guys.